Welcome to where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views, they are amazing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the break room, brought to you by the 13th floor. And for those of you, if this is your first time being here for a break room episode, this is where we break from all the noise, all the things going on externally, and we focus inwardly on all those things that we neglect, that we divert our energy from in order to do everything else and for everybody else. But today is going to be a special episode. Here with a special person that you've heard us talk about in a few episodes now. And when I tell you guys, this is not going to be your typical break room. It's probably not going to be short. It's probably going to be a little bit longer than usual, but he is highly entertaining. So it will go by quick. So just pay attention. Without further ado, I'm going to bring my boy. I don't even know what to call you, man. So
call me Antonio.
On his YouTube, you know, everybody seems to call him Learn2Travel. Nobody calls him by his name. But his name is Antonio. His mama call him Tony. But we're going to refer to him as Antonio today. So Antonio, welcome to the break room. Welcome to the 13th floor. What's going on, sir?
Not much, man. Thank you. You guys are my favorite podcast. I wish I was on with the rest of the guys, but thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Listen, we can make that happen. This doesn't have to be a one-time thing, because you probably think we're going to talk a lot about Learn2Travel today, which we'll talk a little bit about it, but I really want to get into the aspects of self-care. And to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, and you know, I want to give him his flowers up front, and see if I get him to cry up front. But so Antonio and I met in 2003. No, 2005. 2005. I had been in Virginia for a year. My first time relocating for work. And it was a really dark place in my life as I was going through divorce. And Antonio had applied to work for our employer at the time. And he came in, and he always said that we hoodwinked him because there were only 2 Black people that worked there. And it just so happened that he interviewed with both of the Black people that day. So he thought he had come to Chocolate City and didn't know that no, there was a lot of milk in the chocolate. And anyway, ended up hiring him a few months in. You know, we hit it off immediately, and he ended up becoming my roommate, because you can't live in Northern Virginia as a single man, you know, getting underpaid and overtaxed, overcharged for things. And I was in a really dark place. And this man, luckily, he didn't know it, but he kind of anchored me to life and reality and kept me from going off the deep end, both personally and professionally, because they just knew that one day I was going to come in and flip the desk. I was going to pull a Mr. Darnell at work. So this man got me out of the house, got me eating food regularly again, and, you know, going out and having a social life. So, hey man, I just want to thank you for that time in my life that you came along. And the day I interviewed you, I thought, you know, I was just hiring a brother doing something good, and little did I know I was actually going to get a brother. So I appreciate you, and I'm glad you're here.
Damn, I saved your life. I didn't even know that. I've always said that you saved my life, but man, yeah, you are gonna make me cry, but not right now. No, man, thank you, man. It's been a long time. And the other day I said, you know, Kerrol, he hired me. He hired me as a boss 20 years ago, and now he's a brother. And, you know, the sentiment's the same from you. So yeah, and I'm glad to be here, man.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. So, you know, let's give a little backstory, man. So um, born in Panama, right?
See, yes,
Panameño, right? Military father,
yes.
the sweetest mom in the world. Hey, mom, I don't know if you're listening. We're gonna send you the link so you can listen, so you can see your boys.
She watches everything.
Yeah, exactly. One sister, right? Hey, Lynette. And you know, so what was your growing up like? I know you went from Panama to New York, right?
Yes, and I think so. We were in Panama from the time I was, because I was born there. Then my dad joined the military. We went to Fort Riley, Kansas, and then when I was maybe 5 years old, 6 years old, something like that, I went back to Panama. So around first grade, I started school in Panama, and
Okay.
I was there, and then back in 1989, right before the invasion,
Hmm.
they shipped us off to Fort Ord, California. And after the invasion, my father went back to Panama, and then in 1991, 92, he retired from the army. So yeah, so it's a military. I had the military background. You know, friends come, they leave every 4 years.
Yeah.
And then you meet new friends. You don't see the people that you thought were going to be your friends forever. We didn't have the internet back then, so
Hmm.
just lose contact. So that's probably where a lot of my personal issues with like being attached to people or
Right.
not being close to people, because I'm just used to people coming and going in my life. So that was one of the moments of clarity for me, like
Right.
throughout stuff. Yeah.
No, that makes sense, man. So basically what you're saying is outside of your family members, you didn't really get to make, you know, consistent friends and establish relationships, you know, girlfriends and things like that.
Correct. So the people that I keep up with are my my two buddies from high school, and then I
Hmm.
have a couple friends from college, and then you, and those
Yeah.
are, it's about 6 or 7 of y'all that are like my real close friends, you know.
Hmm.
So
And don't forget
and
Howard. Don't forget H.
hey, and yeah, and Howard, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yep. So at what point did you make it to New York?
I made it to New York in 1992. So like,
92.
yeah,
Okay.
eighth grade, ninth grade.
So that was after Pops retired.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So yeah, so that was an experience in itself. You
Hmm.
know, coming from Panama, you know, I think I invented the skinny jeans. So back then, you know, everyone was wearing cross colors, the big baggy jeans. And I
Yeah.
remember, you know, little Spanish kid coming off the boat. Why
Hmm.
your jeans so tight? Like, what do you mean? This is what I see on TV. You know, I was watching Miami Vice, and you know, it was cool, but not in New York. You know, it was hip hop. You know,
Yeah.
on base, we didn't see that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a rude awakening. I had to really wise up quickly.
And make an adjustment.
Yes.
And what's funny is that, you know, you went from that to, you know, you graduate high school athlete, right? Ran track,
Hmm.
right? Did some other things, right?
Yes, ran track, played a little football, but that wasn't my calling. You know, I got hit one too many times at practice, and I was done. So,
Right. And he is he is the guy that introduced me to the term metrosexual.
oh, because then I went to Bloomingdale's
Right.
in New York City. Yeah.
So then he went to go work for Bloomingdale's in New York City. I had familiarity with Bloomingdale's because my mom worked there for a long time. So I knew what that life was about, you know, the suits, the colognes,
Hmm.
all of that stuff. And then you decide you wanted a career change. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm moving through this pretty quickly because we want to get to the self-love part and what he does now outside of his regular day job. You decide you want a career change, and that's when you end up at
Yeah.
our employer at the time,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
Spend a few years there, and then decide, hey, you know what? I need to branch out. I need to go. I'm not here for the foolery. So let me take my talents elsewhere.
And
And
that's what I did.
at times considering running for for some type of public office?
Yes, I ran for what was it? ANC. So that's pretty much your neighborhood commissioner.
Right.
So I actually made it to like the top two, and then I respectfully took my name out of the running, and I still came in top two, which was
Wow.
interesting.
That is very interesting. Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that you had made it that far, but
I did.
okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want that to kind of tell you, I talked about our personal connection, but I think Antonio would tell you that he's an introvert, but people love him, and people want to interact with him more, and to run for public office with no prior experience or anything and placing number two, that's big. That's big. All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing.
Okay.
Let's get to where things really get interesting. So you came into my life during divorce, and I had the opportunity to be in your life through several relationships. We won't get into the foolery of the relationships. There were some very interesting things, though. And in your quest to have a bond and have, a loved one that you thought there would be mutual sacrifice, mutual contribution, you run into some things, right? And things don't turn out that way, and you end up, because of the person that you are doing more for the loved ones than the loved ones are doing for you. And without us spiraling into a counseling session here, what type of things did you start to realize about yourself in that moment? Like, what was that feeling? What was the environment like? And what was the experience?
So what I felt in those relationships was I didn't feel valued. I felt not worthy. I didn't feel like I was the man. It was a lot of negativity. It was a lot of stuff that just started spiraling in my head from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship. And what I actually learned was I shouldn't have been going from relationship to relationship. Like I'm not Don Juan or anything. I'm not like, but
At the time, your nickname was Papi Chulo. Like, you had it on your license plate and everything. I'm just saying.
you remember that too?
Yeah, I remember that.
So so instead of me getting the help that I needed, my way of getting through my relationships was jumping into another relationship.
Right.
So instead of finding someone that I could appreciate and they could appreciate me, I was just going from one situation to another situation, and that wasn't fair. And then I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with myself. And then I want to find someone that's going to make me happy. That's not fair to anyone. That's a lot of responsibility. You're putting your happiness in the hands of someone else. No.
So it's interesting because I think at that time, which we're just talking about dating, really at that time,
Yeah, we're not. Yeah.
you were going through what a lot of us went through as young men, as young Black males, where because there was something, and you alluded to it earlier, right? Your understanding of relationships, whether it be friendships, relationships, whatever it was, that was always disrupted. There was no consistency there.
They're always, yep.
And you're always looking for a way to validate yourself through the relationship with someone else.
Absolutely.
And I think what was key is that you said, instead of you taking the time to find someone that genuinely cared for you, you also weren't taking the time to find how you cared for yourself.
That's it right there.
Right. And Yeah, and I've seen you on a journey where it's almost like you were experimenting with the take care of yourself piece, right? You would lose weight, start working out,
Yeah.
then it would get cold in the winter. And what would happen in the wintertime?
When I would get into a relationship.
That's when you get into a relationship, right? I remember being on the phone and you would say, "Man, Kerrol, it's cold."
Oh, Kerrol, I need someone.
I need someone. I need a warm body, right?
But you hear that? I need.
Right.
So
Yep.
just, you know,
Whereas we know now, if instead of getting somebody, you could have went and spent money on a $500 quilt,
yeah.
right? That would have kept you warm and you'd have made it through and probably avoid, guilt, some health issues, right?
Shame, guilt, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
so let's
it just compounded on top of each other.
compounding one on top of the other. And I mentioned health issues. So let's go there. So we're going through this time.
Mhm.
What's happening to you health wise?
So I ballooned up to 230 pounds. I had high cholesterol.
Yep.
I had blood pressure. I had diabetes,
Mm-hmm.
asthma. So I had every known defect to men, to black men.
Right.
And I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And what was my happiness? Just eating everything in sight, drinking. just I just didn't care, Kerrol. Didn't care. Coach K, I didn't care.
It's okay, man. You call me Kerrol. People call me Kerrol all the time. It's all right. And you actually can say my name correctly. So we're good. So you just didn't care. And man, look, I remember being in that place, right? Because even when I was going through, my relationship woes, I had ballooned up. When you met me, that's probably the heaviest I had been in my life.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things that, as opposed to us going to get the help we actually need, whether that be therapist or just somebody saying, "Hey, what you doing with your life? Like, stop going home and just eating food. Stop going home and just drinking," right? Because that's one of the things is you get out of these relationships and you self-isolate.
Yes.
You become basically a hermit to where you distance yourself from everybody. Your mom, your family calls you. Sometimes you take the call, sometimes you don't.
Yeah. Man, I was living in fear. And
Mhm.
this resonates with me forever, will resonate with me forever. My therapist said to me, false emotions appearing real.
Mhm.
And I was afraid of everything back then. I was afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid of getting feedback. I was afraid of my coworkers. I was afraid of the dog. I was afraid of the cat. I was afraid of a noise. I was afraid of. It's just,
Paranoia.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just, where did this come from? How did this happen? And that's the scary part, not knowing. And then the first thing you start thinking, okay, if I go get help, am I crazy? And because there's that stigma.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, when I was in Panama, they had the little military kids, they were going to therapy after school. Like, what in the
At a
world?
young age.
Yeah, after school. Like, what?
Right. But in our community, going to therapy or, even if you have to go to a psychologist or whatever it is, it's looked at, with a scorn, like there's something wrong with you.
Mhm.
And, over the last couple of episodes, we've talked about, loving other people, having other people love you. And that's one of the consistent themes that we see is that we don't feel empowered to go talk to professionals.
You know why?
Why is that?
because there's that stigma that you're a man up.
Man up.
You're a man. Strap up your boots.
Yep.
Get out there. You
Yep.
know, no one thinks about how the man really feels. No one knows that, yeah, we're in pain too. No one knows that secretly we're crying out for help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the minute you do, you know, they call, you know, there's shame, insult, you know.
Yeah, you scared. First of all, if we
The backlash.
even realize that our employer provides benefits for us, if we realize it, we're scared to take those benefits because then we think, oh, our employer is going to know.
Yeah, the hotline.
Right. The employer is going to know that, you know, we're seeking some type of help. And then we think that's now going to put a shadow over our daily performance or our ability to grow.
Our career growth, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. So let's keep this going because as I said, it was 1 minute we eating right, we working out, we lose a little bit of weight, some warm body comes along, we get comfortable again, we pick the weight back up, we get back on a bunch of medications, which for the record, the paranoia probably was caused by the number of medications.
Maybe so.
Right. And then finally one day we say, you know what, I think I've found somebody that cares about me, that I care about. We ain't gonna get into the details. Don't worry. I see the look come across your face. We're not gonna get into details, but
just for respect, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We do get married.
Yeah.
And how do things start off?
Just like every other relationship, it's you're on cloud 9. Can't tell me nothing.
Can't tell me nothing. It's perfect.
You know, I have my issues. They had their issues, and you start seeing red flags. You ignore them. She sees red flags on me. She ignores them. But you know what? That's codependency. You know, so you ignore the red flags and you keep moving forward.
Well, and here's the thing now, right? You're ignoring red flags. Your partner's ignoring your red flags. But now you get into a situation where your partner probably is feeling some type of way, you know, mentally, you're feeling some way type of mentally. And then you all just keep trading that energy, which is now like you're feeding each other the drug.
Yeah. Negativity, it's intoxicating.
It's intoxicating and it just grabs you and you're just held in and you just like, how do I escape this? But nobody wants to have the conversation.
Of course.
What were you gonna say? You gonna say something?
I know. I would say the conversation would start, and then somewhere along the lines, there's screaming and
emotions take over.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So we're in that situation. We went in slim and trim. Now we're going back up. We're back on as many meds as we've ever been.
Absolutely.
Now we have the additional stress of I'm in this situation. How did I get here? And this is almost the straw that breaks the camel's back because you had these practice runs where we went into, oh man, what's wrong with me? Why can't I find the right person? We think we find the right person. It doesn't work. Now you feel like you have confirmation that there is something wrong with me.
It's my fault. It's
your fault. And it's really interesting how the stigma is out there that men don't care.
Yeah, that's far from true. And if, you know, I feel that we just don't know how to show that we care because everyone's different. So I can show you that I care, but how are you receptive to it? I can show the next person that I care and they're all in. So it just depends on the individual. I know you guys did a podcast not too long ago, and I think Art was talking about performance review
Mhm.
and meet standards.
Yep.
But so it's the same thing. If I'm trying to show you and tell you that I care, but you're not trying to hear that, you're putting your standard on me.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Does that?
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. You're putting your standard on me, and here's what that creates. Okay, good night, son.
Cameo.
Cameo appearance. Okay,
That's
you too, son. Thank you. Mwah.
that's 3 weeks in a row.
3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row. What was I saying? I was talking about you've now taken on that person's their standards, and what those standards now create in our mind as a man is, okay, I am contributing to bills at the bare minimum. Sometimes it's paying all the bills, right?
Yes.
I am making sure we have food in the house. I have started planning for our future wealth,
Wealth,
savings.
retirement. Yes.
Now I am sacrificing things that I would normally do and weigh in how I feel to make you happy.
Happy wife, happy life. That was the rumor.
That was the rumor. What that now creates for us is we think there is no higher display of love, care, and attention.
Exactly. Because that's what I was taught. My parents were married for 40 years.
Mhm.
My dad went, got the bacon, brought it home. My mom took care of the kids, the home.
Yep.
Very traditional, but that's how he showed love. And
That's what you thought love was.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Right. So we get into a space now, it doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
You are on your own. What's going on? How does that feel? Are you returning to the patterns of the past where you are punishing yourself?
So the first 2 years after the divorce, yes. So I was fat, I was broke, I was depressed, sleeping on an air mattress. Man, depression was just, it was just there. But
Yep.
I had to go to work every day with a smile on my face. It was so bad. I didn't even tell my coworkers that I got divorced. And then
Been there.
And then the pandemic hit. But yeah, so that was 4 years ago, man, and it was tough. I was punishing for a whole year. For a whole year, I slept on an air mattress because in my mind I was going back home.
Yeah. And you didn't deserve more.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we became roommates, that was my life. Like I slept on the air mattress, no TV, no nothing. It wasn't until one day my aunt drove down from Jersey and bought me, actually brought me the air mattress, then brought me utensils and dishes and plates and glasses, right? And I never even thought to go do anything for myself because I didn't deserve it, because I had failed.
Exactly.
So you're in that space now, you're depressed.
By myself. I'm going through all of this by myself.
By yourself.
And then I hope you remember when I was married, I divorced my friends.
Yep.
So I wasn't communicating with my friends. I barely communicated with you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got divorced, slowly I was talking to people and telling them what had happened. I'm no longer married, but I did damage to my my relationships with my people.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, I don't have like 30 friends that we were going out. I have 6 or 7 solid friends.
Yep.
And I had to build those relationships.
You had to rebuild those. Some people who have never experienced divorce, they don't know what that feels like, and they think it's easy. Like, oh, okay, it happened. So why you ain't call us?
Say that again. Why didn't you call us?
Why didn't you call us? And they don't realize. So there was a period of time before the divorce actually happened, and you just said it. You had separated yourself from your friends because it was easier to deal with your wife, because in most cases, friends see things before you see it.
You don't want to hear it. Yeah.
And they start talking to you and you don't want to believe it.
And you have to take a side. And I decided to take my wife's side.
Yep.
Over their side.
Right.
And
so now you feel guilty because of that, because man, here goes these folks that have been with me forever.
That have known me for 15, 16, 17 years.
Right. And then I just kind of put them on the back burner. Now, how do I contact these same people and say, hey, I need help. Help me.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's tough, bro. It's tough. All right. So let's fast forward a little bit. So you realize you're going through that.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you decide enough of this self-pity? I have to get back on my feet.
What did I do? So now the pandemic hit, and every day I'm waking up, I'm watching the news. I'm just like, this amount of people died. I could even quote you how many people died the day before. That's how, because I'm working from home and that's all I'm doing. And one day I was watching YouTube and there was this bald country brother from like Alabama, Louisiana, but his name on YouTube is AMS, Alpha Male Strategies.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not really a dating coach, but he's more of a get in your face and go find your purpose, figure it out, stop chasing women and just focus on yourself. He's one of those guys. So I started watching one video, I watched another video, and what I loved about this dude was he was just raw. He would record, you know how you're supposed to record like this?
Right.
He was recording like this and he was just cursing and his actions coming out, but what he was saying was just so real. So I started watching.
You felt like he was talking directly to you, didn't you?
He was talking directly to me. Not I felt, he was.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then I started going to counseling virtually on my phone with a therapist. And yeah, man, talking to the counselor, I had to figure out what can I do for me? And then listening to that guy, he's telling me, you better figure out what your purpose is. You better find a hobby. You better find something to do. So in conjunction of the two is when I realized, man, I'm not on the right path. I deserve more. I don't need to be feeling sorry for myself. And my counselor therapist said, you enjoy being a victim, don't you? Like, what? And then he went through my track record. He's like, yeah, you enjoy being a victim. And I said, well, I'm not a victim. I'm just a hardworking, I'm a good man. And that was my default fallback answer. I did enjoy being a victim, and I use the excuse that I'm a good man.
Yeah. But were you being a good man to you?
No, absolutely not. No,
Yeah.
no, because I know right from wrong. I wasn't
Mhm.
raised the way I was. I wasn't raised to accept uh, tomfoolery from
Mhm. Mhm.
people. I I I was taught that I need to set boundaries. You know, from a very young age. My mother's no nonsense. You know, my sister takes no nonsense from. So I guess I missed that gene. I missed that gene, but
I don't think you missed it.
I ignored it.
Love is a powerful thing. And love comes in and almost like Men in Black when they used to pull out the little thing and push the button and you forget everything.
Mhm.
Love makes you, when you feel like you're in love with somebody, it makes you forget everything that you were taught, everything that you were trained. It makes you forget yourself,
Mhm.
right? And once those other emotions start coming in, like stress, depression, then it just, as you said, it's a compound effect. And you end up, you basically created another person
Mhm.
because the real you gets so buried and you don't even recognize yourself.
Literally. So again, I ballooned back up to 230 pounds.
Mhm.
And
And just for, I'm not trying to put you on the spot about how tall you are, but I want people to understand what that means. So how tall are you?
on a good day or
You know what? On your best day ever,
on my
when they didn't tell you to take your sneakers off.
5'5" and 3/4.
5'5" and 3/4, and you were 230 pounds,
Mhm. Couldn't breathe, couldn't see my toes.
right? I think you had to sleep with the CPAP, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot to. Yeah, the machine, walking around, filling it with distilled water. I,
Yeah.
I was a hot mess, a hot freaking mess.
Wow. Okay, so you find this YouTube, right? Which
The,
everything happens for a reason. Like I don't even know how you found that YouTube channel.
I don't know either. I don't
You
know
but
because
but
that's not what I was looking for. I didn't know what I was looking for.
but it found you.
It found.
And then you find a therapist, a counselor.
Yep.
And how do you now your man said you need to find a hobby.
Hmm.
What do you end up doing?
So my background is automobiles. So started buying and selling cars on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I also did thrifting, and pretty much what that is going to the thrift store, Goodwill, Salvation Army, buying designer items, buying unique items, and then selling it on Poshmark, selling it on eBay, selling it, you know, Craigslist, anywhere. And that's what I was doing. And it's not that I needed the money, because it's not a lifestyle. It was just something to keep me busy,
Mm-hmm.
because idle minds is the devil's playground. And as long as I'm sitting on that couch watching the news, watching doom and gloom, nothing positive was going to be my outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So
And and
I stayed there.
and participating in the time machine, right?
Mm.
When we get to that point, there's a time machine when we're sitting on the couch and we're just
We're
filling our
4 or 5
face with
years old.
with,
Yeah.
with, with a pizza or whatever it is and drinking. The TV could be on, right?
Yeah. And
The TV could be on, but you're not even really paying attention to TV. You are going back in your mind to analyze every single relationship. Which one should you have held on to?
why
What,
didn't I get left when
what,
she was right?
what, why didn't you avoid this person altogether? And you then, after you go back, you then project to the future of what you think your life would have been.
Oh, I didn't take it that far.
Oh, okay. Well,
Again, I was a professional victim, so
right.
I just
So
love
you just stayed
assuming.
in that spot.
I just stay there.
Right. And when I say you project for the future, like if you went left and it ended up being this person, what would your life be like? Right. And you just get in a cycle of that. That is the cycle over and over.
Yep.
And time flies. Next thing you know, it's been 4 or 5 months and you have nothing to show for it.
Yeah, how about years? 2 years.
I mean, that too. You know, I was trying to be nice.
Yeah.
You know, years go by. So now you are, you know, you're flipping cars, right? You're buying cars and selling cars to people. You are going to thrift shops.
I'm doing Uber. I'm doing Lyft.
You're doing Uber. You're doing Lyft.
Yeah.
At some point, there comes a time where you're just like, whoa, I just go to work and then I just do these other things.
Mm-hmm.
When do you slow down and start directing more attention towards yourself?
So, not for nothing, Kerrol. I felt that maybe around October of last year, so maybe like 6-7 months ago, is when I started to really focus on me. Like I took my first trip in April of, what are we in, 2020?
We're in 2022.
So April 2021, I took my first trip.
You took your first trip.
Yes.
So now we get to a point to where we find a hobby in travel.
Yes.
That's actually going to.
But it wasn't really a hobby yet. It
wasn't a hobby yet,
yeah.
But you realize something when you travel.
Oh yeah.
And what was it that you were able to realize about yourself through traveling?
Man, for the first time, I wasn't afraid. For the first time, I was a leader because I took my boy with me. And you know, I speak Spanish. So I took the lead. I was the one negotiating. I was the one making the plans. In my relationships, the ladies did all that, because even when I wasn't married, it was, yeah, whatever you want.
You just want to keep them happy, so you default.
If I have to pay, I'll pay for whatever. Let's just go. What day you want to go? All right, we'll book it. It's fine. So now the roles have reversed, and I'm like, wait, I'm actually good at this. Mm-hmm. And then I'm overseas, and the locals gravitate towards me. And that in itself was a great feeling. But you had mentioned that people always want to hear me speak, or people always around me. I didn't realize that because I was such in a dark place back then. But then when I started traveling, and it was just happening more and more, even like if I go to the airport, the gate agent is laughing and joking with me. I have the flight attendants. It's just like people just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about me, but that's
bro. Once you leave the negative perception that you have of yourself behind,
that aura, that energy,
once you leave that, now you start freeing yourself. And once you free yourself, the things that are for you and that come to you naturally start to flourish.
And you start to see it.
And you start to like the first couple times, you're just like, okay, that was luck. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
But then when the right place and the right time becomes every time, now you start to realize, oh, I like this feeling. This is really who I am. Mm-hmm. So let's fast forward to January of 2022. You now set out on a journey. You've been to several places, right? You've been to Panama as an adult. Mm-hmm. You've been to Brazil.
No, I haven't been to Brazil yet.
Not Brazil yet?
No, but I've been to Thailand. I've been to China. I've been to Costa Rica.
Yep.
All over the Caribbean. but then I traveled to Colombia.
Okay, but then you travel to Colombia,
Mhm.
and Colombia becomes a
Headquarters.
reoccurring theme there.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna move this forward a little bit. You now realize, wait a minute, if I feel so good doing this travel and I get to learn who I am, what if I put other people onto this? What if I put other men onto this?
That was my purpose. That is when I realized this is what my purpose is. I want to help other men. I don't want I when I was in my dark place and I was going through that by myself, I didn't have anyone to vent to.
Mm-hmm.
And with the platform that's out there, YouTube,
Yep.
men that are in dark places want to see an exit, an off ramp, and and that's what I want to do. I want to offer that off ramp.
So let's talk about Learn to Travel. So, as we said, I've known you for a long time, and there are times where I've had to convince you to do something that was yours. That was like, hey man, no, go do this. Like you're supposed to. And you would fight it and you would
I'm
be
good.
scared and you're like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. I don't want to do it. And it was really cool to see the fire that you had behind this, because you now step into owning a YouTube page and starting to build your brand. And, yeah, you watched some other videos, you did your research, but you didn't sit on it for, the next 2 years. You jumped in immediately, not knowing A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
I didn't even, I use this example. My first video was like this. Like,
Like it was
oh,
like
it's like
this. It
this.
was
Yeah.
yes,
Right.
yes, right. But even that, and the lesson here, and I'm sorry, listeners, we haven't been really talking to you guys. We've just been having a conversation, but I think it's pretty good. So hopefully you're learning something, and hopefully you can pass this on to somebody that needs it, because there are a lot of us that are sitting on ideas and things that are the essence of who we are, and we make up all the excuses in the world not to do it, and you miss out on your purpose. And you get to, unfortunately, a lot of people get to the end of their life and don't realize until that moment that they missed the life they could have lived. And way back when, you'd have to dig way into the episodes, but I remember referring to it as the real field of dreams. Anytime you see a cemetery, that's where dreams that never got to materialize go to die, and they're just planted there. And you wonder why the grass is so green, because the richness of the dreams is there that fertilizes the grass and makes it greener. But anyway, that's a long story. We're not going to go that route. But you jumped into it and you create this page. And I remember you telling me, oh man, hopefully by the end of the month, I'll have 10 followers.
Yeah. I remember that conversation.
And I said, what? By the end of the month? And it was amazing. I think it was within 24 hours.
Yeah.
You had 10 followers.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, you got to make a new goal. And as it is today, March 22nd, you have 237 followers on YouTube.
And that's not easy.
It's not easy at all. And that's without spending money for, ads and
Oh yeah, I don't know.
a bunch of things. Like you're
All
not into that.
All grassroots.
All grassroots, just building relationships with other people that are trying to do the same thing. And it's been awesome to watch. And what I want to know is Learn to Travel. That's the word learn, the number 2, and travel. Please go follow on YouTube. Obviously we're gonna put a link up right here for you to follow. Hopefully my finger's in the right place. Art will figure it out. What's next for you, man? Like, what is your hope for Learn to Travel? And you and I have had conversations about Learn to Travel, and is it really a travel page or is it a redemption page?
Oh, wow. All right. Well, before I answer that, two more things on the channel. So right now I have 32 videos up, and my channel has received 29,000 views since
Wow.
January 1st. And I, I went to community college. What do I know? But yeah, man.
You also went to Hofstra,
Oh,
which we didn't get into, but that's all right.
We don't need that. I still owe them. We're working on that. But no, man, it just brings me great joy to share my travel experience with men.
Mhm.
I just want these guys that feel like they're down and out on their luck. No one's listening to them. I just want to give them an option, and that option is get a passport and explore the world. Go go outside of your neighborhood,
Comfort zone. Yeah.
your comfort zone. Go outside your city. Go outside your state. I know some people that haven't been outside of Maryland. A road trip to them is going to Virginia Beach. If you know Maryland, Virginia,
Yep.
the 95 corridor. So what I want to see for Learn to Travel is my consultancy. I want to morph this into a consultancy where I can work with men and hook them up with people from other countries. Whether it's tour guides or restaurants, I just want to be that person that connects, be that liaison.
So let me back you up for a second, right? Because as somebody that's been through it, I see what you're really trying to do. And I see what happened to you. You're not really trying to connect them to people in other countries. You're trying to disconnect these men from the narrative that they've convinced themselves because they've been through something.
Yes, that sounds, that's right on the mark, right there.
And when you disconnect, like in your case, when you disconnected from the lies that you had told yourself, the shame, from the embarrassment, once you disconnected, you got to see who you really were.
Yeah.
You got to connect back to the true Antonio.
Yeah, bro, I had confidence, but that confidence was so buried. That confidence, I haven't seen that confidence since maybe 2002, 2003. That was
Yep.
the last time I saw my confidence, because when I went to my previous employee, that was a whole nother story. But man, that doing this Learn to Travel, teaching these guys, sharing my knowledge, it's just brought a different type of energy. Going back and forth with my subscribers, they're asking me questions, they're sending me DMs, they're hitting me up on WhatsApp. I've had some older guys, some experienced YouTubers that travelers see, people with 60, 70, 80,000 subscribers are hitting me on text message. Like I said, I went to community college and Hofstra, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I'm like they say I'm an up and coming YouTuber, or content creator. I'll take that. I'll take that.
I mean, listen, so I've seen a couple of the shows that you've been on, and it's been interesting. As a newcomer, you're bringing real life and current things to light that these folks with 60,000, 80,000 followers are just like, oh man, yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Everyone has their lane. Everyone has their niche. So it's hard to break into any arena. It's just difficult. So I just created a niche for myself. So for instance, there's the dating abroad. Guys want to go find a beautiful woman outside. Well, I dated a a Venezuelan lady, and I document my relationship. I document the turmoils, I document the scams, and a lot of people tend to just show you the beautiful part, the story of how wonderful everything is with travel. What I do is I bring the not so loving aspect.
Yeah.
And that's
So
and that's what people see. People see the realness in my videos.
you bring to light the landmines that will get you into the same situation that you were trying to disconnect from.
Exactly. Exactly. You know,
Which is awesome because, you know, as a tourist in some of these places, you know, you just think, oh, this person's all about me and they make me feel so good, and you don't understand. No, 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 no. You're you're in a business.
yeah.
This is
So
this
now,
person's business.
yes. So now, Kerrol, the old me would have been stuck in that
Right.
situation. The old me would have continued to just listen to the manipulation. The old me would have enjoyed being a victim.
Mm-hmm.
But bro, I am way too busy. I have a purpose now. I have goals. I have I have things that I want to accomplish, and I do not have time to put up with nonsense.
Yep.
And that's part of the creating boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of not allowing yourself to be disrespected. And these are all my definitions, or not mine, but these are that I use in my definition of self-love. You
Yep.
know, not letting people disrespect you, creating boundaries, and letting people know, or knowing what behavior you will and will not accept. Those are my those those are my
Those are your core values.
yep, that's it. That's
That's
it.
it. And your core values don't change no matter who you meet.
Exactly. And I'm not, and here's the thing. Before, I was afraid to be single.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's why I would jump in from one relationship to another relationship. I was afraid to be single. Now, man, you couldn't pay me to jump into a relationship next week. No, it's not happening like that anymore. Those days are over.
Yep.
So
Well, bro, listen, man, this has been great. And I really appreciate you bringing your story to the 13th floor, into the break room. I think there's a lot of men out there that this will benefit, hearing the story, because it's one thing to see the end result of somebody's journey, not the end, but the upswing of somebody's journey. It's a totally different thing to hear the background and see what this person went through, because there are people that probably see you today and they're just like, oh man, like this man has
he got it to.
got it together.
I get that. I literally got that today.
Wow.
I get that, but they don't know the struggles. They don't know the insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I did a workout video. You know, I'm in good shape now. I'm solid, but I'm still struggling. But they don't see that. People just see the outcome, but
Right.
they don't see the work that leads.
They don't see the input that you put in
Exactly.
to get that outcome.
Exactly.
Well, listen, man, just know, you're a blessing to my life. Hopefully this is a blessing for other people. And we're gonna get you back on the show where you can interact with all the fellas. There's so much more that we could talk about, but we're not gonna put it all into one. We're gonna save it for another episode. And just thank you for joining us, man. And look, keep spreading Learn to Travel. Keep disconnecting men from what's not reality. And we appreciate you, bro.
All right. Well, I just want to say three things. Men, you got to protect yourself. You got to protect your peace and protect your resources. That's vital. Without those three components, you're doomed. So remember, yourself, your peace, and your resources.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, bro. Love you much. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been The Break Room, brought to you by the 13th Floor. And we will catch you all next week. Son, tell them what time it is.
That's it for now, folks.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're done here on the 13th floor where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are
Amazing.